relinquished and sold a couple of investments to make sure they were, I guess, safeguarded financially during what they, were unbeknown what COVID would bring us. What that did is obviously took a lot of supply of the rental market out. Owner-occupiers came in through different grants that the government was doing. The first home buyers really came in, and really developers actually stopped selling their properties to investors because of the cost of sale and started working with the owner-occupiers. What that's done is gave us a really shortage in the supply of investment properties to tenancies, and now we're seeing the Gold Coast, which is locked down, all below 1% in vacancy rates. So the way that vacancy rates work is that at 3.3%, that's an equilibrium market. So that's where supply and demand meet each other. So certainly as we push down below 1%, that's when you're seeing those rising prices.
So I guess in value. Easy terms, really, we're having, with our Queensland market, we're having about 15 to 20 applications per property. So there really is a shortage up there. As I said, I know we're spruiking Queensland at the moment, but at the end of the day, we identify these areas to create the income. So the advantage with having 15 to 20, applications is, one, you can put the price up if need be, but two, you get the ability to actually hand select your tenant, which gives you, growth long term. So I guess the other thing too is Brisbane in 2032, Dan, what's happening there?
Yeah, a little thing called the Olympics. So it's our turn. I think that's going to be just a really golden period. Built on investment spending. I think you look at all the cities that have had the Olympics. We're going to see a strong 10 years go through. But I will touch on a couple other points, because someone asked me before earlier today. It's well spread that Southeast Queensland's had a massive growth spurt over the last sort of 12 months. Have I missed it? As the bus already left, it's well publicised, between 20 and 30%, depending on what property you've had, has already moved up. Rising house prices and building construction, and holding costs and interest rates. So there's a lot of fundamentals to go through. We're more than happy to have a chat to you and put you in contact with the right people, and in C23 as well. But what we're seeing now is that with the price rising over the last 2 years, the rental yield, you can see here from 2021, is now starting to increase because of that lack of supply and what I spoke to you about owner-occupiers. So the yield is now coming back up, which is a great thing as interest rates are rising as well. So perfect timing within there. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some hotspots. We won't go too much into detail about this. We are heavily invested, as I said, in a number of corridors. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you in the booth. But much like I've spoken before, why do we pick the location? We're there for the long term as well. We do our big master plan developments as well. So we're not just going into communities where we're, picking the eyes out of projects. We're master planning. We know what's developed next door. We control the streetscape. We invest in the community long term, and we control that owner-occupier and investor ratio, which is important.
I think the biggest thing there to really share is the money's not made with the property. The money's made in the land. So the bigger the lot size, that's where you're going to get your growth long term. So we're just touching on Logan because at the moment we have a couple of projects which are titled and ready to go. And if you haven't or haven't built before, but what we need to know, in the building side is the confidence in the build to actually complete. There's a little bit, the elephant in the room is at the end of the day, a lot of clients have been seeing us at our stalls have said to us, look, can your builder complete? Now the fact that we're 51% owned and backed by Toyota, the advantage that we have with that is that this is just one, drop in the ocean for this company here. The other thing too, when you're looking at building, is you're looking at the inclusions that are there. So we want to have things like 900 appliances, Caesar stone throughout. They need to. The other thing that Homecorp provides is 600 by 600 porcelain tiles. So it's almost like a display home village, but you're still getting the invested product. The advantage with that is if you do come to resell it, or you need to get the property genuinely revalued to pull out equity, that's great. The other thing too, with the Melbourne market, if you guys in the last 2 years have seen a substantial increase in your property prices. So all you really need to do is unlock around about $100,000 to $120,000 of equity, which is already sitting there, and just shift that to another property. The advantage with that is you're getting tax depreciation, equity, and you actually build your portfolio a lot quicker.
Fantastic. Look, just touching on Logan, what we went through before, looking at just under $9 billion of infrastructure projects. I've been to a number of these seminars before and expos, and developers come up and talk about proposed all the time. I think it's really important to having a look at the projects that are already underway. It's not about waiting for the next 10 years of growth. It's about what growth can I get in the short term to allow me to start building that property portfolio as well. So with price points, as you touched on before, we're sitting, packages starting at 500,000 all the way past $1 million. And we also invested in South Australia. We've got an office down there, which is a bit of a price point driven market as that affordability is going down as well. But our major focus will remain in Queensland, southeast Queensland, in known, proven, trusted corridors.
Okay, so what I'd like to do here is if there's any questions after this as well, but if there's anything you'd like to know, but what we might touch on now is actually what's actually happening with builders around the market. There's some of the issues that we're coming up against in the last 12 months was shortage of supplies, labour price increases. Do people hold contracts? Do they rip them up? Fixed price contracts? I think the most important thing that you need to be looking at, whatever builder you're dealing with, is trying to get away from provisional sums and working with, I guess, no tenders, but fixed price contracts that hold for 12 months, not 3 months and we'll review. We're about holding the price. If the project goes over with the land, we'll still fix the price. And most importantly, what we need to look at is looking into 2030. Is the builder still going to be around in 8 to 9 years? Is they going to be sustainable? Because that's important when you've got builder's warranty, insurance, and of course confidence in who you're dealing with. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is build a long-term relationship with our clients. What we might just touch on is what's actually happening in the industry at the moment that's causing, I guess, some concern. So let's not just focus on the pros, but let's look at some of the things that are actually going on in the market if we can, Dan.
Yes, certainly. Look, it's been a tough year for a lot of builders in construction in the last 12 months. Who would have thought that, what we've been through? And if we look at materials, it's widespread that there's been shortages. We do have wait times, and it's really important to have that procurement measures correct and have your ordering facilities in place. We are seeing, a little bit more of a relaxation over the last sort of 3-4 months in, skilled labour, which is quite good. We've been fortunate enough to pick up a number of other contractors and builders to come under our banner as well. We've also, acquired some other companies as well, which has come in and helped boost our supply level. But if you look at fixed pricing, I think that's a really, really important one, having that security and understanding that when you sign a contract, that contract's going to be seen through. And that's certainly what we offer at Homecorp. We haven't torn up, we've worked with our clients. We like to think of ourselves as the partner. We are the land developer in most cases and the builder, and I think that's important because we can work together, have transparency, and are there from, that cradle to grave. It's not just the land gets settled and we're out, or we're not, not involved in the land development at the front end. So that's a really good piece, an important one when selecting a builder, to have that visibility as well.
I think the most challenging thing normally when selecting a builder is actually waiting for the contract. So by show of hands, who's had to wait more than 1 month before for a building contract? Nobody. That's great. Then don't go with them. So, anyway, what that means basically is if you have, typically what happens, you go through a colour gallery selection. The longer you wait, the more the price is going to go up. And that reason can be also yourself, but you've actually got time invested, you've got colour gallery, you've got supply issues. What we try and do is provide a contract within 48 hours. The quicker you get a contract, the quicker you give that to your bank, the quicker you can actually get your finance approved. And then you need to look at time on site. So typically after settling a block of land, I've heard of builders out there waiting 6 to 12 months to get permits. The issue in that time is you're waiting, you're still servicing these land loans. Ideally what you want to try and do is get to site straight away. Homecorp is able to generally provide a permit within 4 to 6 weeks of settlement and be on site just a couple of weeks after that. Typical building time at the moment, we used to be able to get these things finished in 16 to 20 weeks. At the moment, realistically, most builders are sort of sitting around about 6 to 7 months. So just keep that in mind when you're paying this thing down. So there is a couple of ways that you can actually build that into your finance so you can minimise your expenses while building. But ideally what we want to try and do is get you through the property as quick as possible. The other thing that we do at House Landco, and keeping in mind that I have a national company, is I actually educate rather than sell. So what that means is that I'll actually take my clients to site, walk you through your property under construction, help you identify your own areas that you should invest in, and of course open-minded. If we can't serve you, we'd certainly gladly recommend another builder that can. We are an Australian-wide business and we try and look at areas. At the moment, Queensland's on the mark. Next year we probably could be talking about South Australia because of price point, but at the moment land supply is coming back in. There is still some titled land around, so it means there is some good buying, and of course if you come and see us, we're prepared to do some deals. C23. Dan, just before we wrap up, anything else?
Probably more so to see if there's any other questions in there. I know some of you can just come around and see us, but full disclosure from our end, so no, I'm all good.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Ciao. How was that for time?
Yeah, that's great. You still had another 7 minutes.
Ah, perfect.
Could have done the song and dance. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Legend.
Really?
Perfect. Done. Thanks, Dan.
Wonderful. To think about moving to Queensland. You're pretty excited about it, ma'am? You want to move to Queensland? Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Now, please stay tuned. We do have our next speaker here already. His name is Damien Scaft. He is around here somewhere. He's being pointed to. Damien Scaft. He's on his way. So if you'd like to stick around, our next speaker, he is actually the Business Development Manager for Victoria with the Australian Gas Infrastructure Group. He is here to talk about the transition